Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of the Lester Kitching Show. Thank you for joining me today. And the topic we're going to talk about is she's obsessed, it's not healthy. And this is a conversation I had with someone who came to a workshop that I was hosting. I host free community workshops where people can come and learn about how to lose weight and keep it off without all the extremes. And we had this kind of conversation with a lady who was wanting to lose weight herself, and she was talking about the journey that a relative, a member of her family, was going through themselves. And this person in their family had got into the gym, and they'd started to become, as Lily mentioned, obsessed. So she'd used the word obsessed and said, I don't know if that's really healthy. And it was more a question, and we had a conversation about that, and I kind of pushed back a little bit. And what I'm going to do today, and what the purpose of this show is going to be, is to look into that and decide, when does health and fitness become unhealthy? When does it become an obsession that is actually something that's not very good for us? So diving deeper into that then. So looking into the scenario. So the relative in the family had been in reasonable shape. But they'd got into the gym. They'd started to go to the gym, and the lady mentioned that she goes most days, and sometimes she'll go twice a day, that kind of thing. So very, very active and very much involved in the gym. And also she mentioned that she started to track her food, because we were talking about using kind of calorie counting and tracking food as a way to make sure that we're getting the right levels of calories in, which ultimately is going to play a big part in whether or not you lose weight or you don't. And the lady had mentioned that the relative had started to track food and they'd weigh it out, and they'd track it on the phone and on an app within their phone. And she was making good progress, and she was getting good results. But the lady mentioned, well, I don't know if that's healthy. I don't think that's healthy. She's becoming obsessed with it. So what we really want to probably look into is thinking, what we actually mean when we say obsessed, because obviously we don't want to become obsessed with something. And when we think about what that actually means, we're probably thinking of it as when we can't do it, when we can't do the activity, so when we can't go to the gym, when we can't track our calories, whatever that may be, then we have a really strong negative reaction. It has a big impact on us. So if someone's obsessed with the gym, then that probably means that when they can't get to the gym, maybe for a genuine reason, they're injured, or they've got family commitments, or they've got work commitments, and they literally cannot make it, they don't have enough time in their day. If someone's obsessed, then arguably that's going to have a really big impact on them, and a really big negative impact on them. So that might mean that their mood is erratic. They might be more irritable. They feel frustrated. They feel guilty. They feel ashamed. They're blaming themselves. They're being critical for the fact that they haven't gone in the gym, even if they have a genuine excuse. So that's really what an obsession with health and fitness is, and that's something that is and does have a negative impact, and it can be kind of the dark side. Now, for most people who are listening to this, and maybe most people who are looking at fitness, health and fitness stuff on the internet, you're probably not going down that route. You're probably more towards the other end, where you're just not consistent enough, really. You're not consistent with your nutrition, or you're not consistent with exercise. And again, there might be genuine reasons for that. You might not have the knowledge, or you just don't have you've not found the strategies that work for you. But ultimately, you're not in the habit enough to kind of fall into this obsession bracket. And what we want to do is think about, and what I kind of pushed back in the workshop when we were having the conversation with the lady who came to the workshop was, well, I mean, sometimes your obsession, people view obsessions, and for the relative, maybe this is just standards, and it's a question of, is it an obsession, or is it just someone's got higher standards than you? And taking it away from the specific conversation I had with the lady at the workshop, and just more in general, if you see someone routinely following these certain behaviors and these patterns, and being very consistent with their exercise, for example, or being very consistent with tracking their food in an app to help them make sure it stays top of mind and they're getting the right calories in, then one person might look at that and say, oh, that person's obsessed. The person who's doing it might say, no, these are just my standards. This is my minimum standard. This is what I class as my baseline for my effort, for my health and fitness. So what you're really doing is kind of going to be deciding on, you're going to pick your poison, because there is a cost to health and fitness. There's a cost to going to the gym. There's the time that it takes, there's the effort that it takes. And obviously we can do things that make it more enjoyable. We can do things that make it quicker and more time efficient and fit around a busy life and career and family. But ultimately there is still a cost. You still have to go to the gym, even if it's once, twice, 3 times a week. So there's a cost to that. Whereas on the flip side, the cost of not going to the gym and not doing any exercise, any structured exercise, not lifting weights, is that it's going to be harder to keep control of your weight. It's going to be harder to keep your fitness at a certain level, which means that when it's sunny like it is right now, and the kids are playing in the garden, that you can join in and chase them around and play football with them, or do whatever with your family and your friends. That you can do that without being drenched in sweat after 30 seconds. Now it's absolute heat, absolutely boiling right now. So I mean, you might be drenched in sweat either way. But if you are choosing to not go to the gym because you don't want to accept that cost, then you've got to pick up the bill elsewhere. And the bill for not exercising that once, twice, 3 times a week is that you're not going to be as fit. You're not going to be able to control your weight as well as you could. And also as well in later life, if you're in your late 30s, if you're in your 40s, if you're in your 50s, in later life, that's going to catch up to you if you don't exercise. And you'll pick up injuries, you'll start to get aches and pains. A lot of people that I speak to who are kind of reaching out for the first time, like lower back pain is a big problem with people who are overweight, who need to lose weight, but also that they are relatively inactive. So they might be they might have a desk job, and they're very sedentary for most of their life. They drive to the desk job, sit at the desk, drive home, sit on the couch, and generally for a large part of their waking day, they're sat down and they're not active, and that ultimately leads to them struggling to maintain their weight or getting a healthy weight range, and also means that they're going to struggle to just be fit and strong and active and mobile. When we don't exercise, things we just get stiff and achy, and injuries start to pick up far more than if you were exercising regularly. And if you are if you're listening to this and you're in your 40s, 50s, weight training is a fantastic way to help with, and lots and lots of research is coming out, probably more recently, the last few years, talking about how it improves your bone density and how it helps you to arrive at 60, 70 and 80 not feeling frail and not feeling like an old lady or an old man. You're going to arrive feeling still capable, still strong, that you can still be independent well into your retirement, and you can arrive at retirement actually physically able to enjoy it, versus arriving at retirement or in later life unable to make the most of it, because you can't walk very far without having to sit down. There's many people spoke to over the last few months, 2 or 3 people I spoke to who've talked about going on holidays, and that their friends or their family or who they're going with want to be probably walking around and exploring, and they've shared that they know that they can't do that. They can't walk for more than 5, 10, 15 minutes without having to sit down, because their knees are going to get sore, their back's going to get sore, whatever it may be. And that is the cost that person is going to have to pay, because they weren't consistently exercising, even if it's that once, twice, 3 times a week, over the course of the last 5 or 10 years, whatever it may be. So the same goes for nutrition as well. The cost of saying no to this amazing cheesecake, or this double bacon cheeseburger, or whatever it may be, the cost of saying no to the takeaways and the starter, main and dessert and all the drinks and all the things that can go along with food, the cost of saying no to those things, the cost of saying yes to those things, is that you are going to find it harder to keep your weight down, because those things are very calorific. They're very high calorie, very easy to overeat. So if you want to be in a healthy weight range, like, you probably can't say yes to everything that gets put in front of you. When you walk into the supermarket, we always like, if I go to Lidl, you walk in, the bakery's right there with amazing, great tasting foods, and yes, you can get something, but you can't get everything you want every single time, because ultimately that's going to mean that, guess what, it's going to be quite hard to eat everything you want from the little bakery every day or every few days and still maintain your weight at a good level. There's also the cost that it can just make you feel sluggish, you feel lethargic, you feel low energy, or you've got spikes in your energy where you get a big energy crash. That can come from poor diet. So the cost of eating well and maybe tracking your calories and being aware of your food and making smart choices, the cost of that is maybe a bit of inconvenience. Maybe it's saying no to things that you'd like to say yes to. But ultimately what it gives you is good energy throughout the day. It means that you don't feel sluggish. You can wake up in the morning, you feel pretty good most mornings. You get through the afternoon and you still feel good. You're not having a massive energy crash. When you get to the evening, you do have energy to go for a walk, to go to the gym, to go out and socialize, whatever it may be. You don't have to get in and just crash on the couch because you're so burnt out and so lack of low on energy. And that's the cost that you have to weigh up. So ultimately, with health and fitness, and I suppose at a broad level with anything, it's a case of pick your poison. And going back to the example, the topic that we're talking about, the person, the relative in this scenario, the one who started going to the gym, the one who goes most days, if not sometimes twice a day, the one who's tracking food, they've chose the cost of doing those things. Now, hopefully they've found a way that they can go to the gym and they enjoy it. And maybe there's a social element, maybe they go to classes, maybe they track their workouts in their phone so they know what they're doing and they feel happy doing it and they're seeing the progress, which is fantastic. Tracking the food as well, they've got something that makes it quick and easy for them. They've got something that they've found a way to get the right calories in, but also enjoy the food at the same time. Hopefully that person's doing that, so the cost isn't as high as it could be. And they're going to get all the benefits because now their clothes feel better. It's like I mentioned there, it's beautiful weather right now, and they can probably open their wardrobe and just pick whatever they want, and they're going to feel comfortable in that. Versus someone who doesn't track their food, who doesn't go to the gym, who doesn't exercise at all, who says yes to everything that they could eat. They might be opening their wardrobe and thinking, oh, I'd love to wear that, but it's really tight around here. Oh, I'd love to wear that, but I just don't have the confidence. I just don't feel confident in it. So it's a case of you deciding, you listening right now, deciding there is going to be a cost with going to the gym and eating better. And there are ways we can definitely make that easier and quicker and more enjoyable. But there is still a cost. You still have to go to the gym, or you still have to put on your trainers and go for a run, or you still have to go to the swimming pool to do some lengths. Whatever your form of exercise is, there is a cost to that. But ultimately, the benefits that you're going to get from it are going to outweigh that cost. And a good example, a good quote I always remember is Conor McGregor. Now, regardless of what you think of him, just the quote that he mentioned is someone says to him, it's when he's in his kind of like earlier training days when he kind of first came on the scene, and he's talking about what he does, and he's kind of his whole life is around is fight training or whatever it's called. This combat sport that he does, and nutrition. He's always focused on eating the right things and drinking right and stretching and getting in his weight training sessions. So he's strong. He's getting in his condition sessions so he can last 4 or 5 minutes or however long a round of MMA is. And the person who's interviewing him kind of says, "Well, is that not an obsession? Is that not obsession? Is that not a bad thing? Is that not unhealthy?" And Conor McGregor says, "Well, do I look unhealthy? I in my mind and my body, I'm feeling great." And it's something to that effect. It's definitely paraphrase that. But ultimately, what he's saying is, you see it as something unhealthy. You see this thing that you see my activities and my behaviors as an obsession. But actually what it's given me is it's given me exactly what I want. So it's not an obsession for me. It's not an unhealthy thing. It's a really healthy thing, because it means that I'm great in my body and my mind. And that's ultimately where we ideally you probably want to get to. Like, people might look at what you do and think, I mean, maybe they do look at you and think, oh, you're a little bit obsessed, because for a lot of people, they don't exercise regularly. Do you mean, think of we're almost halfway through the year, and if you've trained 2-3 times a week for this most of the year, most of the week so far this year, then that probably puts you at a very low percentage of the population. So the bigger percentage of the population who haven't exercised at all, or haven't exercised much, or haven't exercised consistently over the last 6 months, they might look at you and think that you are obsessed. And it's okay, and it's about being okay with that, because ultimately what you get is the benefit of getting in the gym 3 times a week, or doing exercise a few times a week, because you get the benefits of that for that cost. And that brings me on to the next point that I've got, is you're always going to be judged whatever you do. So whether you decide to track your calories in an app on your phone, whether you decide to go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, or maybe you go most days, whatever you do, you are going to get judged by other people, because everyone's got an opinion on everything. And the point that really you need to get to is you just need to not care. You need to make a decision on, it's that pick your poison. You decide what you are willing to pay the price for in exchange for the benefit afterwards. So you need to decide, okay, for me, I don't care what people think. For me, getting in the gym 2 or 3 times a week, that's my standard. That's what I'm going to aim for, and that's what I'm going to push for. And 9 weeks out of 10, I'm going to be able to hit that. And I'm going to get in the gym consistently. I'm going to work hard, and I don't care what anyone else says. You might, another person, you might be listening to this and thinking, well, do you know what I mean? I've got older kids now. I've got kids in my 20s, and they're in their early 20s, and they're much more independent now. I've now got more free time, and I really want to get into exercise. I really want to throw myself into this, which I've not felt like I've had time in the past when my kids were younger. So now I'm ready to go. So I want to get in the gym every day. I want to get up at 6 in the morning, and I'm just going to get in the routine of doing that every morning. 6 o'clock, I'm going to go to the gym, and when the gym's not open at 6 on a weekend, then I'm going to go for a run. Like, you might decide that, and people will look at you and say, "Oh, is that healthy to be exercising every day? Should you be having rest days? Are you not worried that it's becoming an obsession? Is it not unhealthy to be training all this time? Are you not becoming too focused on this?" And you just got to get to a point where you just don't care, because ultimately you can never win. Because the flip side of that is you don't exercise at all, and then people are going to criticize you, or people are going to judge you on how you look. Because if you're not exercising, if you're not being aware of your food choices, at least, you might not necessarily track your food all the time, but you need to be probably aware of them and make some smart decisions so you can have things you enjoy, but at the same time within reason. Then you're probably going to be out of shape, and you're probably not going to feel great about that. And people may look at you and judge you, and you might be self-conscious yourself about that. So it's a case of deciding, what do I want? And that's exactly really where I want to get to with every client that I work with. And it's never a case of someone comes on board and here's what you're doing for the next 12 weeks. Here's what you're doing for the next 6 months, whatever length of time that they're going to focus on. Because ultimately it depends what they want to do and what their life allows them to do. Some clients that I know that I work with just train with me twice a week, and they'll come in the gym and they'll do that 2 sessions a week with me, 2-3 sessions a week, depending on what they've got on that week. And that's the only exercise they do. And then I've got other clients who come and train twice a week with me, but they also do 2 or 3 classes at the gym, and they also do like a park run, or they do a running club. And both of them are great. Both of them are exactly what each individual person needs. And it's a case of deciding, what are you willing to do? And what do you want to set your standard as, rather than feeling like you need to meet the standards that other people are setting, because they're going to be very, very different. And deciding what you want to do and then executing on that. And once you've set your standards, whether that's getting in the gym 2-3 times a week, it's a case of, how can I make that as quick as possible? How can I make that as easy as possible? How can I make that as enjoyable as possible? And once you've done those things, then all of a sudden it's much easier to stick to it. And I think that's where a lot of the challenges that people have, is that they're going to be looking online for a plan. They're looking for the perfect plan. And that might say 3 days a week, that might say 7 days a week, that might say 5 days a week, and they don't know what to do, because they're looking externally for the answer, when really it's internally. It's a case of figuring out, okay, well, this is what my life looks like right now. My career is really, really busy. Some nights I'm working late. Some days I've got to get in early. I've also got the kids. I've got the school run in the morning. The kids are going through during their exams right now, so I'm helping them with revision, and I've got to give them a kick up the ass to do the revision every now and again. And also it's summer, so I've got more kind of social stuff going on. That person might decide, okay, well, twice a week is a realistic something I can go with, and I'm happy to aim for that, and that's something I can actually stick to. Whereas the other person might have, a relatively stress-free job. They clock in, clock out, and they're done. Once they've kind of finished their work, they can switch off. They don't have to work over. They don't have to come in early. They might have kids that they either don't have kids, or the kids have grown up and are much more independent. They don't have much going on in the social calendar for the next 6-8 weeks. They might be really wanting to get into the gym and looking for something to kind of throw themselves into and really buy into and kind of really engross themselves in. So that person might decide, okay, I'm going to get in Monday to Friday, or I'm going to get in every day. I'm going to do some form of exercise every day. And again, both of those scenarios are great. It's a case of what is going to work for you. And that's really, like I said, the goal for clients. Same comes to nutrition. Tracking calories, don't tracking calories. Deciding how you incorporate social events into that. Some clients might work better when they kind of lock in for 4-6 weeks, and they kind of say, okay, well, I'm going to kind of quieten down the social stuff. I've maybe not got as much going on, but I'm also just going to kind of quiet it down anyway, and I'm just going to lock in for that 4-6 weeks and really focus on getting the best results as I possibly can. I'm going to throw myself into it. And then I've got other clients who are much more have more just consistently busy social lives, so they have to constantly adjust what they're doing based on their social calendar. And again, that's absolutely fine as well. They have balance over the course of 7 days. They'll have lower calorie days where they bank some calories for the weekend and all that kind of stuff. And again, it's about finding out what works for you and looking at where you want to be. And really, if you're in that position where you are not sure what you should be doing, and how often you should be training, or what you should be doing for training, that's kind of where I help clients really. So I help that out of shape parents who feel like they've tried everything and they want to get results. They want to finally feel in control of their weight. They want to feel confident and comfortable in the clothes without having to do the injections or the crash diets or the restrictive meal plans or workouts that they absolutely hate and they've got to drag themselves to the gym for. What I do is work with clients to make it simple, quick, easy, and enjoyable, so you can get results that last, because ultimately we'll create something that you can actually stick to. And if you can stick to it, the results you get, you're going to keep them, because you don't stop. You don't finish the 6-week plan and think, oh my God, thank God that's over with, and give up and go back to square one, because ultimately what we'll do is we'll build it in a way that you actually enjoy, and it's something that you can stick to and is built around your busy life. So hopefully that was really helpful for you in terms of kind of just looking at that in a bit more detail. So what is obsession around health and fitness? Because it certainly is. And just before I finish, actually, the last bit would be like, you can certainly become an obsession. Anything can become an obsession, whether that's health and fitness, whether that's business, whether that's social life, whatever it might be. You can certainly make it into an obsession, and that might look like, I've got to exercise every day, and if I can't exercise, then I'm going to feel really, really bad. It's going to really, really rock my mood. I'm going to be irritable. I'm going to be snappy with the kids. I'm not going to be able to concentrate at work because I'm feeling guilty and stressed out. That then probably has pushed you into the fact that you're obsessed with the gym. Same with the tracking calories. Like, can you go out on an evening and have a meal out? And do you take food with you for them to cook at the restaurant for you? Now, some people might say that's really, really high standards. But I think for me and you, just everyday people, we're probably getting into obsession territory at that point. Now, there's definitely things you can get off the menu that are going to be better choices than others, and are not really going to have that much of an impact on your results for that week. So the fact that you might be unable to order off the menu because you're so rigid and not following exactly what you've got to do has such a big impact on you that you're taking food to a restaurant for them to cook, or you're taking Tupperware of your own stuff because you won't eat out, then that probably is taking you into that obsession territory. And we don't want to live there, because ultimately the goal for health and fitness for a lot of people is to just feel better. to feel better emotionally about themselves, also feel better physically, their joints, their aches, their pains, their mobility, and also um, like energy wise as well, like being able to actually enjoy the things that we're doing and having energy throughout the day. So if we're kind of moving into this obsession territory where we feel bad for not missing a day at the gym when we even have genuine reasons to do that, or we can't eat any food when we're going out with family or friends, then it's kind of counterproductive, because the goal was to, yes, it might be to lose weight, but it's to lose weight so I can feel more comfortable in my clothes and feel happier and have more energy and feel good. The goal isn't just to lose weight, the goal is to feel good, because ultimately that's what people really, really want deep down. So if I take my health and fitness to such an extreme that it becomes an obsession, then I might be able to stick it out long enough to get the results. But then I actually haven't got the real result that I wanted, because I wanted to feel happier and I wanted to find a way that health and fitness can be something that's good for me and that doesn't take up all my mental bandwidth. Whereas the obsession side, if we go down to that extreme route, it does. It takes up all your mental energy, and there's a real cost when you can't nail it 100%. So it doesn't really actually give you what you want. You might lose some weight, but you still don't feel happy. You still don't feel secure in yourself. You still don't feel comfortable in your clothes, because maybe you're always picking at yourself and being very self-critical because you missed the gym one day out of 7, whatever it may be, if you're in this extreme end of the scale. So hopefully that was really helpful for you, and really the takeaway from this episode is going to be just deciding, like, what's your standards. And to some people that might look like an obsession, but remember, you're going to get judged anyway. So it's a case of deciding what am I happy with, and weighing up the cost of doing that thing. So weighing up the cost of getting to the gym 3 times a week, trying to minimize that cost as much as we can by making it quick, simple, enjoyable, something it's really easy to stick to. And then being happy with the benefits I get from that, and being happy with the level of results that I will get from that. And if you can get in that place where you truly you're owning your own strategy, and you're owning your own structure and your decisions, rather than feeling a victim to everyone else's judgment, then you're going to be much, much happier. And ultimately that's where it would be amazing if you could get to, and I hope that you certainly do get to that. So if you are looking for some more help on this, and you're listening to this thinking, okay, great, I get it, I don't want to become obsessed at the gym and with nutrition, but at the same time, I do need to kind of sort myself out, because I've let myself go. I've not been exercising regularly or consistently at all. My nutrition is up and down, very stop-start, and I know I need to do something. So if that's you, what I'd recommend is get a free copy of my book. So I wrote a book on this toward the end of last year called Fat Loss for the Real World, and you can get a free digital copy sent to you instantly. If you go to lesterkitchen.com/free, you can enter your info and you'll get a digital copy sent to your email address straight away. Once you've got it, just let me know that you've received it, because sometimes on smartphones and different devices, doesn't always work, doesn't always show as best as it could. So let me know that you've got it once you have downloaded it. And in there, there's lots of strategies that are focused on how you can get results and keep them long term without having to resort to those extremes, the injections, the crash diets, the restrictive meal plans, the workouts that you hate, cancelling your social plans, all those things that you may have tried in the past that haven't worked long term. And the book's going to be really helpful for that. It's a nice, easy read, quick and easy to pick up and go if you're just reading bits and bobs at a time. And it's something that I think will be really, really valuable for you as well. You can buy it off Amazon if you want, or you can get a free digital copy by going to lesterkitchen.com/free. So that's the end of the show. I'll be doing one of these every single week. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure to all the usual stuff, subscribe, leave a rating, leave a comment, whatever it may be, and look through the past episodes. Make sure it's all to set a reminder for yourself. So every Wednesday I'll be publishing these and sharing these out. So look out for the next episode. And if you do see anything online, I've got a few lined up as well that I think could be really good topics to talk about, because as always with health and fitness, there's always some wacky things out there. So I've seen a few things recently that will definitely make good shows, and something that will be really helpful for you as well. It's not just about finding stuff that's sound bites and clickbait. it's trying to think of taking the actual things that we can get out of those clickbait things and turn it into, okay, well, what's actually useful out of this? Get rid of all the nonsense and keep the useful stuff in. And that's what the show's going to be. One of the reasons the show is going to be so helpful for a lot of people, including yourself. So enjoy the rest of your day, wherever you're listening to this, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever it may be, and tune in for the next show. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.